Welcome back to our channel HD Ultra Rare Coins. If you are a coin collector, watch video carefully. I will tell you about coins that make you a millionaire overnight. Top 1. This is the story of the United Kingdom Elizabeth I 1 penny 2001, a coin born at the dawn of a new millennium, carrying within it not just metal and design, but time itself. The year 2001 arrived with a strange mix of hope and uncertainty. The world had just stepped into the 21st century, leaving behind a millennium filled with empires, revolutions, wars, and technological miracles. Britain, like much of the world, stood at a crossroads between tradition and transformation. The echoes of the past were still strong, yet the pull of the future was undeniable. It was in this moment, balancing between centuries, that the Royal Mint struck the one-penny coin bearing the portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, a monarch who herself symbolized continuity across generations. Queen Elizabeth II had already reigned for nearly half a century by 2001. Her image was not merely that of a queen, it was a living timeline. She had appeared on coins since 1953, evolving subtly with age, reflecting the passage of time through official portraits that mark different eras of her reign. The 2001 one-penny features the mature effigy designed by Ian Rank Broadley, a portrait that conveyed dignity, strength, and quiet authority. This was not the young queen of post-war Britain, nor the newly crowned monarch of the 1950s. This was a queen who had witnessed the fall of the British Empire, the rise of the European Union, the digital revolution, and the dawn of the internet age. Turn the coin over, and you encounter a design deeply rooted in British identity, the portcullis with chains, crowned proudly at the top. This image dates back centuries, associated with the Palace of Westminster and the authority of Parliament. It is a symbol of guarded strength, of tradition protected but not closed off. On the one-penny coin, the portcullis serves as a bridge between monarchy and democracy, between ancient symbolism and modern currency. In 2001, this design was nearing the end of its long run as Britain prepared to introduce a radical new reverse design in 2008. Unknowingly, collectors were holding one of the last chapters of a classic era in British coinage. The metal itself tells part of the story. Though called a penny, the 2001 issue was not pure copper. Instead, it was struck in copper-plated steel, a change that had occurred in the early 1990s to reduce production costs. This shift reflected broader economic realities of the time, where even national mints had to balance tradition with efficiency. Yet this seemingly mundane change would later play a crucial role in identifying rare errors and variations that now set certain examples apart from the millions minted. Minting the 2001 one-penny was no small task. The Royal Mint produced hundreds of millions of coins to meet everyday circulation needs. Supermarkets, buses, vending machines, and corner shops all relied on small denominations to keep commerce flowing smoothly. To the average citizen, the penny was almost an afterthought. Many dismissed it as nearly worthless, tossing it into jars or leaving it behind at counters. Ironically, this very lack of attention would help certain rare pieces survive in pristine condition, untouched by heavy circulation. Within these vast production numbers, however, subtle anomalies began to emerge. Some coins were struck with slightly off-center designs. Others showed unusual plating issues where the copper coating was thinner or uneven, revealing hints of steel beneath. A few exhibited doubled lettering, faint but unmistakable to a trained eye. These were not dramatic errors obvious to the casual observer, but quiet imperfections that whispered to collectors who knew what to look for. As years passed, the 2001 one-penny slowly disappeared from everyday use. Inflation reduced its purchasing power, and public attitudes toward small change shifted. By the 2010s, the penny had become more of a nuisance than a necessity for many. Yet among numismatists, interest began to grow. The coin represented a unique moment in time, post-millennium optimism, pre-digital currency dominance, and the final years of a classic British coin design. Collectors started to examine mint records more closely. Questions arose about specific batches, die pairings, and experimental strikes. Rumors circulated about a tiny number of coins struck on incorrect planchets, possibly during transitional testing phases at the mint. These pieces, if authenticated, were unlike anything intended for public circulation. They were mistakes, yes, but mistakes born from human processes at one of the world's most respected mints. Stories began to surface of individuals who had unknowingly held onto these rare pennies for years. A retired shopkeeper sorting through old cash drawers. A child's coin collection inherited from a grandparent. A jar of spare change empty during a house move. In each case, the discovery was the same: a humble 2001 one penny suddenly transformed into an object of intense scrutiny and excitement. Condition played a critical role in value. Most pennies from 2001 showed signs of wear, scratches, and dull surfaces from years of circulation. But a select few remained almost untouched, preserved in mint state condition. These coins displayed sharp details, original luster, and flawless edges. When combined with rare errors or unusual compositions, their desirability skyrocketed. Authentication became the next crucial step. Professional grading services examine weight, metal composition, strike quality, and microscopic details. Some coins failed to meet the extraordinary claims made about them. Others, however, passed every test. These verified examples entered private collections, rarely seen by the public, discussed only in hushed tones among elite collectors. Auctions provided the stage for the penny's dramatic transformation. What once cost a single pence now commanded attention from investors, museums, and wealthy enthusiasts around the world. Bidding wars erupted, fueled by scarcity, historical significance, and the irresistible appeal of owning something overlooked by millions. Each sale set new benchmarks, pushing the coin's reputation further into legend. Beyond its monetary value, the 2001 one penny tells a deeper story about how we perceive worth. It challenges the idea that value is always obvious, that importance must be loud or glittering. This coin reminds us that history often hides in the ordinary, waiting patiently for someone to look closer. For collectors, it represents the thrill of the hunt, the possibility that something extraordinary could be hiding in plain sight. For historians, it is a tangible link to Britain at the turn of the millennium. For everyday viewers of HD ultra-rare coins, it is a powerful reminder that even the smallest denomination can carry the weight of time, culture, and human effort. As we approach the end of this journey, the transformation is complete. The penny that once clinked unnoticed on shop counters has risen through the ranks of numismatic legends. Verified rare specimens of the United Kingdom Elizabeth I one penny 2001, featuring exceptional mint errors, pristine condition, and authenticated provenance, have reached staggering heights in the collector market. Top 2. We uncover one such story, a coin that once jingled casually in pockets across the United Kingdom, yet now whispers of secrets worth millions. This is the remarkable journey of the United Kingdom Elizabeth I one penny 2009. To truly understand why this single penny matters, we must step back into the atmosphere of Britain in 2009. The world was still reeling from the global financial crisis. Trust in banks was shaken, markets were unstable, and people were holding on to their money more tightly than ever before. In the United Kingdom, everyday citizens relied on small denominations like the one penny coin more than they realized. It symbolized affordability, continuity, and the quiet resilience of a nation navigating uncertainty. No one imagined that one of these modest coins would one day become a legend in the numismatic world. The year 2009 itself holds a unique place in British coinage history. It marked the continuation of Queen Elizabeth I's reign into the 21st century, a reign already spanning generations. The Royal Mint was balancing tradition with modernization, maintaining iconic imagery while embracing new production technologies. The one penny coin struck in this year appeared, at first glance, no different from the countless pennies before it. But appearances, as collectors know well, can be deceiving. On one side of the coin, the familiar portrait of Queen Elizabeth I commands attention with quiet authority. This was the fourth definitive portrait of the Queen, designed by Ian Rank Broadley. Unlike earlier youthful depictions, this portrait embraced realism. Fine lines, mature features, and a dignified expression reflected decades of leadership. The Queen wears the Girls of Great Britain and Ireland tiara, a symbol of continuity and royal elegance. The inscription surrounding the portrait affirms her title, reinforcing the legitimacy and stability of the monarchy during uncertain global times. Flip the coin, and you encounter the reverse design that makes the 2009 penny especially fascinating. This was part of the groundbreaking shield design introduced in 2008, created by Matthew Dent. Instead of a traditional standalone symbol, the reverse shows a portion of the royal shield. Each denomination displays a different section, and when assembled together, they form the complete royal arms. The one penny represents the lower left segment of the shield, featuring bold lines and geometric precision. At the time, this design was revolutionary. It broke from centuries of tradition and sparked debate among collectors and the public alike. The coin was struck in copper-plated steel, a material choice that reflected modern efficiency. Rising copper prices had forced the Royal Mint to rethink composition, and this shift marked a new era in British coinage. While earlier pennies were heavier and warmer in tone, the 2009 version felt lighter, cooler, and more industrial. Many dismissed it as less authentic, unaware that this very change would later contribute to its mystique. Millions of these coins were minted, and that fact alone makes the story even more intriguing. How could a coin with such high mintage numbers become rare? The answer lies not in quantity, but in anomalies. Somewhere during the minting process, subtle variations occurred. Microscopic differences in alignment, striking pressure, plating thickness, and die wear created coins that deviated ever so slightly from the standard issue. These variations were invisible to the average person but glaring to trained collectors. One of the most talked about mysteries surrounding the 2009 one penny involves rare minting errors. Some examples surfaced with misaligned shield segments where the lines failed to meet precisely. Others showed unusually smooth fields, suggesting a polished die error. A handful displayed weak strikes on the Queen's portrait, giving her features an almost ghost-like softness. These anomalies were never officially acknowledged, yet they quietly entered circulation, blending in with ordinary coins. Collectors who specialize in error coins began to notice patterns. Certain pennies from 2009 exhibited magnetic inconsistencies, hinting at unusual steel compositions. Others showed faint doubling on the lettering, a sign of die shift during striking. Each discovery added another layer to the coin's legend. The idea that something so common could hide something so rare fueled obsession across the numismatic community. As years passed, most 2009 pennies disappeared into drawers, jars, and landfills. Others were melted down or damaged beyond recognition. Only a tiny fraction survived in pristine condition, untouched by circulation. Condition, in numismatics, is everything. A coin that remains flawless after years of existence becomes exponentially more valuable. And the 2009 one penny, when preserved perfectly, tells a story frozen in time. Auction houses began to take notice. At first, sales were modest. A few £100 here, a few thousand there. But as research deepened and documentation improved, the narrative shifted. Experts began linking specific die varieties to extremely limited production windows. Rumors spread of a small batch of experimental strikes possibly created during testing phases at the Royal Mint. These coins were never meant for circulation, yet somehow escaped into the wild. On HD ultra rare coins, we've seen this pattern before. History repeats itself in whispers. A coin dismissed today becomes a treasure tomorrow. The 2009 one penny became a symbol of that truth. Collectors scoured their collections, revisited old coin rolls, and even searched through childhood savings jars. Every penny became a potential fortune. The emotional pull of this coin lies not just in its value, but in its accessibility. Unlike ancient gold coins locked away in museums, this penny once belonged to everyone. It could have bought a sweet, rested on a shop counter, or been forgotten under a sofa cushion. That shared experience creates a powerful connection. When collectors talk about this coin, they're not just talking about metal, they're talking about memory. International interest soon followed. Collectors from the United States, Europe, and Asia began competing for authenticated specimens. Grading services examined surviving examples under intense scrutiny. Only a minuscule number achieved the highest grades, confirming their near-perfect preservation. These coins became the holy grail of modern British pennies. Top 3. The United Kingdom Elizabeth I one penny 2007 is one such coin, modest in appearance yet powerful in legacy, and today its story unfolds far beyond its humble face value. To truly understand the importance of this coin, we must return to the Britain of the early 21st century. The year 2007 was a fascinating moment in British history. Queen Elizabeth I had already reigned for more than 5 decades, becoming a living symbol of stability in a rapidly changing world. Technology was reshaping communication, economies were shifting, and yet the monarchy remained a reassuring constant. Coins minted during this period carried not just monetary value but emotional weight, representing continuity in an era of transformation. The one penny coin had always been more than spare change in British culture. For centuries, pennies represented the foundation of the nation's currency system. Expressions like penny for your thoughts and mind your pennies and the pounds will mind themselves reflected how deeply ingrained this coin was in everyday life. By 2007, the penny had already undergone several transformations, adapting to modern needs while preserving its traditional identity. The Elizabeth I penny 2007 belongs to a historic transitional era in British coinage. This was the year when the Royal Mint introduced a revolutionary redesign of the reverse side of UK coins. Instead of each coin featuring a completely separate symbol, the designs were created as parts of a single royal shield spread across multiple denominations. The 1 penny coin carried the lower right segment of the shield, a bold and symbolic decision that connected every coin in the pocket into one unified image of national strength. This design choice was not merely artistic. It was deeply symbolic. The royal shield represented unity, authority, and tradition. For the first time in modern British history, everyday coins told a collective story when placed together. The 2007 penny became a literal piece of a larger puzzle, reminding citizens that even the smallest denomination had a role to play in the greater structure of the nation. On the obverse side, the familiar portrait of Queen Elizabeth I appears with quiet dignity. This effigy, created by Ian Rank Broadley, is often considered one of the most refined portraits of the Queen ever used on British coinage. Unlike earlier depictions, this version shows the monarch with maturity and confidence, reflecting her experience and long reign. Every detail, from the subtle lines of her expression to the delicate engraving of her crown, communicates authority without arrogance, tradition without stagnation. The inscription surrounding the Queen's portrait carries Latin lettering that connects the coin to centuries of royal tradition. Even in a modern era, this ancient language reinforces the idea that British coinage is part of a lineage that stretches back through time, linking today's pocket change to medieval mints and ancient monarchs. The material of the 2007 1 penny coin is copper-plated steel, a decision made for durability and cost efficiency. While earlier pennies were composed of bronze, economic realities required change. Yet this shift in material also marked a clear divide between old-world coinage and modern minting techniques. Collectors often pay special attention to such transitions, knowing that coins from these periods frequently become historically significant. Millions of these pennies were produced, yet rarity in the numismatic world is not defined by numbers alone. What truly matters are variations, errors, condition, and context. Some 2007 pennies exhibit striking anomalies, including off-center strikes, double dies, incorrect plating, or unusual thickness. These minting errors transform ordinary coins into extraordinary artifacts, each telling a story of imperfection in a process designed for precision. Collectors are drawn not only to what a coin is, but to what it represents. The Elizabeth I 1 penny 2007 represents the end of an era and the beginning of another. It was minted just before the global financial crisis reshaped economies worldwide. It belongs to a time when physical money still dominated daily transactions, before digital payments began to reduce the presence of coins in everyday life. There is a powerful nostalgia attached to this penny. Many people remember holding it as children, dropping it into school charity boxes, or counting them carefully while saving for something small but meaningful. That emotional connection fuels collector demand just as much as rarity does. Coins that resonate with personal memory often achieve legendary status over time. Condition plays a critical role in value. A circulated penny tells a story of countless hands and countless journeys. But an uncirculated example, preserved in mint condition, is like a time capsule. Its surfaces remain sharp, its luster intact, its story frozen at the moment of creation. Such coins are highly sought after, especially when professionally graded and authenticated. As years pass, surviving pristine examples become fewer. Coins are lost, damaged, melted, or forgotten. The passage of time itself creates rarity. A 2007 penny preserved perfectly today is far more significant than it was when first minted, and its importance continues to grow with each passing year. The global collector market has expanded dramatically in recent decades. Numismatics is no longer limited to local clubs or small auctions. Online platforms, international bidding, and private collectors from around the world now compete for historically important coins. British coinage, with its long royal heritage, holds a special place in this global marketplace. Among elite collectors, coins connected to Queen Elizabeth I's reign are particularly prized. Her reign spanned generations, wars, technological revolutions, and social change. Coins minted during her era are not merely currency, they are artifacts of a reign that defined modern Britain. What elevates the Elizabeth I 1 penny 2007 into a league of its own is the convergence of design innovation, historical timing, minting anomalies, and emotional resonance. Certain ultra-rare specimens, especially those with confirmed minting errors or experimental strikes, have captured the attention of top-tier collectors and private investors. Stories circulate quietly within numismatic circles of pennies discovered in old collections, forgotten drawers, or inherited coin jars that later turned out to be extraordinary. These discoveries fuel the dream that history might still be hiding in plain sight, waiting for someone curious enough to look closely. When a coin transcends its intended purpose, it becomes art, history, and investment combined. Auction records have shown that rare modern British coins can command astonishing prices when the right buyer recognizes their significance. It is not about metal value, but about narrative, scarcity, and prestige. Now, as we reach the moment that transforms this story from fascinating to unbelievable, we must speak of value. While the vast majority of 2007 pennies remain worth their face value, a select handful stand apart from all others. Verified ultra-rare specimens of the United Kingdom Elizabeth I 1 penny 2007, featuring exceptional minting characteristics and preserved in flawless condition, have reached valuations that few would ever expect from a single penny. In the highest levels of private sales and elite collector negotiations, the value of these extraordinary examples has soared beyond imagination. The final recorded valuation for one such legendary specimen has reached an astonishing figure that continues to send shockwaves through the collector world.